Morning, my friend.
I'll call to order the June 14th, 2017 meeting of the Library Board. Present are Eileen Sheridan, Scott Edwards, Ken Hall, Laura Ingram, Don Wright, D.A. Hildebrand, and Jan Wallander. Staff present are Maureen Cole and Denise Butcher. So, first agenda item is approval of the minutes. We have two sets of minutes from April and May. Folks, remember we didn't have minutes last month, so we'll first start with the April minutes. Any corrections or changes to the April minutes?
Can't think of any. I move that they be approved as presented.
I'll second that.
So it's been moved and seconded for approval of the April 2017 minutes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Okay, April minutes are approved. We'll move on to the May minutes. Any corrections, changes to the May minutes?
I move to approve as is.
And I'll second that.
Okay, been moved and seconded. Approval of the May 2017 minutes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? So May minutes are approved. Thank you. Have any time for any public comments?
Okay. Usually you do your report later, but that's fine if you want to get out of here.
I might leave early.
That's fine.
Okay.
Just to update where we are with the library, the biggest news that we felt comfortable with is
Could
the
you
book.
just state your name?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, thanks.
Yes, Jan Salisbury. I live in Oregon City. With the Friends of the Library. There we go. The news that made us feel very comfortable is reviewing last year and this year with our revenue and expenses. We're pretty stable, and we're looking for ways to grow our revenue so we can support more programs. So we have formed a committee to look at a lot of different donation avenues that we can receive donations from. Mm-hmm. Simple as cans at the Can Drop Center up here in Oregon City. It can be dedicated to things. So we're going to look at all those different items. That'll keep us out of trouble for a while. In August, on 12th and 13th, there's an art festival down at the Wagons, and we'll be participating there with a large bunch of books to sell. And to keep on your calendar, November 8th is our annual meeting, and we're looking forward to try to put together really a more interesting program. And so just set that aside to be worth it. If you have any questions, just let me know, and we'll keep working together on this. So.
Any?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we have a new business item about discussion of the replacing the main library sign at 7th and John Adams. I assume we have guests. Are you going to introduce this?
Well, at this point in time, I'd like to invite Denise McGriff and Bill Daniels to come on forward. And I think between the three of us, we probably can provide background and what's going on and all that together.
Yes, thank you. Denise McGriff, and I'm a resident of the McLaughlin neighborhood.
Bill Daniels, also a resident of McLaughlin neighborhood.
So where we're going to start is we're going to give you a little history about the signage, not only, signage within the entire park. So there was a sign at 7th and John Adams that was wood, and then there was a sign at 6th and John Adams, which is not necessarily in your purview, but since they're signage, we'll give you the history about both of them. So you want to give the quick overview?
I've been around since the Roger McClurg days, and in those days, Roger and the library, as you well know, moved up to the shopping center on a temporary basis, and in that time, the community took together a mission to have the building dedicated to the National Historic Register, and with that nomination and awarded that position, it was able to get grant money to have the building restored and renovated. Of course, ADA access and earthquake specifications as well as HVAC, and basically trying to bring the building back as close as possible to its original condition, exterior as well as on the interior. And in 2001, that mission was completed. And at that time, we knew that the building would be still would be used as an event center or a different use than a library, because we were still assuming that the library would find a new home. In that time, we also, as a community, the McLaughlin neighborhood, spearheaded a drive for donations, and we also procured an artist to do the signage, and working with the city on specifications that they needed from that sign, as well as our own group. We came up with a sign that was placed at the corner of 7th and John Adams in approximately 2001. And it read, of course, that it was the Carnegie Center, and we also had the ability to add or subtract the uses of that building by board panels below that main sign. And I believe the sign also said the Carnegie building. And that sign was in place until it's been 6 months ago, 7 months ago, 8 months ago, somewhere along that line, where it was replaced. And it was to our surprise that it was, when I say our, but the community's surprise, that the process didn't completely follow the pattern. We'd hoped to have some input on what that new sign could look like and could say. So that's where we're at today.
So at the same time we were raising funds for the Carnegie building sign, we raised money for a sign to identify Library Park. And so what Bill is trying to say, it went through the entire process with Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee, went through the Parks Director, at that time it wasn't really called Community Development, and it was a community process. Both of those signs, if you're familiar with the one at the end of the Oregon Trail, that 213, same artist did that. The one for the Carnegie had gold leaf on it. And again, as he said, much to our surprise, it disappeared. And when we called the contractor to find out what had happened to the signs, we got, well, we don't know what happened to it, even though they removed it. There were a lot of people in our community who, again, had participated and raised money for that sign that were a little bit upset that they disappeared. So where we were was we went and talked with Phil Lewis, we went and talked with Maureen, and we said that we would like to see something, since we are in a historic district, we would like to see a sign there that is more in keeping with the historic nature of the community and similar to something we had there before. We also are going to be working on a new sign to identify Library Park. The poster, the space for it is still there. We understand and acknowledge that the Carnegie is only one part of the library now. As you know, we were actively and very much front and center in participating on that, and you had a lot of deliberations yourself about that outside of our neighborhood meetings. But we have talked to the CIC, we've talked to some community members, so CIC Citizen Involvement Committee, we've talked to some other community members, and what we're really here to do is not so much just to play the blame game, but we'd like to ask if anybody on this group is interested in participating with us in a community process to replace the sign. We will be doing some fundraising. As many of you know, we do concerts in the park during the summer, and we plan to dedicate some of that money towards that, plus do some other fundraising. We've had some commitments already from people who said that they would be willing to help again. So we hope that it'll be something, we don't know exactly what it will be, but the sign that sits over here at the top of Singer Hill, that was also a community effort that says McLaughlin Historic District. And we think that something in that style would be more in keeping with our historic building in our historic park. And so I just need to make one correction. The National Register nomination for the Carnegie Library building came after the renovations where the city removed the snout, did the ADA and the ramp and all of that. So that just came in 2013. So those two things did not happen simultaneously. One happened after the other. But the library has always been a designated local landmark in the city's inventory, and obviously we're very proud and pleased that it went also up to the National Register level along with the municipal elevator and the McLaughlin Promenade, which of course the elevator only touches our neighborhood on the top level, but still that's pretty awesome that we were able to get those through that process. We're just here to answer, any questions that you might have about that, and hopefully one of you would be interested in participating. We're not looking at having like a jillion billion meetings. We want to kind of set some ground rules. Maureen has volunteered to work with us on this and take it through all the proper channels, and that's where we are today. And we wanted to come and talk to you all about it as well.
So if I could just add my little 2 cents, we've had some really nice conversations together. The way the current signage came about is it was kind of just part of the larger architectural package that that the architects supplied. It's a really nice sign. However, it didn't meet these guys' expectations, and their expectation was that there would be some back and forth on what the sign would look like. That was completely missed. And again, fortunately, she's not playing the blame game, but, I was the library director in charge of the process, and these guys felt left out of that part of the process. So we were all kind of surprised. I was surprised that there was a problem because I didn't realize I wasn't meeting expectations, and they were surprised they hadn't been involved. Since then, we've had some really nice conversations, but, they want to pursue a different sign. And so, like Denise said, they've talked to CIC so that kind of all neighborhoods, since the library doesn't just serve McLaughlin Neighborhood Association, all neighborhoods would have that kind of heads up. They've gone to the parks since it's sitting in a park. And I, of course, have, pledged that I'll work with them. But, I asked them to come here to talk to you guys so that you would be looped in, since you've been looped into the rest of the process. And it seemed to me like if we were going to move forward with this, it would be nice if somebody has some time, if they could be involved to kind of represent the library part of it, as from the patron point of view, as to how this thing ends up.
Let me just clarify, so that what you're looking for is somebody to be involved in developing a community process, or a community process for fundraising, or are they both sort of the same thing?
No. We're interested in somebody participating with us and the other community members on what the sign's going to be.
Okay.
That will be the community process. Once
Okay,
we make
sign it.
some options, we'll take responsibility along with PrAC and taking that back out and then coming back together. And then in the meantime, we're already going to start doing some fundraising to raise money. I mean, we don't have any idea what the cost will be. We want it to be, well, let's just say my expectation is it's going to be as good as or better than the one that it replaced, the current one replaced.
And I think we got, I did get some pricing, nasal situation.
Everybody's suffering,
I
believe
know,
me.
it's so bad. I think, didn't I tell you guys that it was like, the existing one, not the old one, but the existing one was like $3,500 or something like that. That's like a good ballpark. I would say 35 minimum. Besides the design and the creation of it, and that would just be the corner one. They're also looking into one at the other end of the park as well.
And we'd like people's input on that one as well. It doesn't matter whether you're on the library board or not. It's our park.
Yes, the sign on 6th and John Adams, as you may recall, said Library Park. And so it can change if that, apparently PrAC, some years back, had renamed the park to Carnegie.
Carnegie Library Park.
But the sign was never adjusted at that time.
Right.
We didn't know about that either.
Yeah.
all
So
kinds of stuff going on.
I'm still trying to
there.
find the resolution that was passed that said that. Where did that go?
But both of those signs were done with TLC from an artist who was very good at what he did.
Sign carver.
And I think that the original sign was probably in that same neighborhood when we had it first done on 7th John Adams, and certainly the one on 6th John Adams was perhaps half that much.
This is much smaller.
Mhm.
So is there anybody that's interested?
Could I ask a couple of questions?
Sure.
I just want to make sure I understand completely. So you are seeking to replace 2 signs without verbiage that is defined yet. There's still, names are still a little vague also.
Yes.
Dimensions, design are also vague.
Well, it would have, the one that on 7th and John Adams would have to fit the signposts that are there. That's going to be the parameter for that.
So you're just removing the substrate and replacing
Yes.
it with existing
Yeah,
plans?
because we
Okay.
saved those.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, okay.
Those were designed for that sign too, the one that
Okay.
was there, the wooden ones
Yeah.
you recall.
And you also have an undefined timeline because you have undefined fundraising and you don't have a cost yet.
Right.
Is this something that you're hoping to achieve in 2017?
It's going to take as long as it takes. I don't want to put a parameter on it and say
But
we
the
want it
current
done by.
signage stays, I mean,
Well,
it'll be
it'll stay there till we
tolerated.
get a replacement.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, it's
all
not
right.
gonna- it's not gonna
I
come
just,
down.
because there's been so many confusion of signs coming and going, I just,
Yeah, I know.
I'm just checking here. Okay, so it could be 18 months, 2 years, or whatever it takes. It's just it's a
Ideally,
process.
I like 2017 in that discussion.
Okay.
It
It'd
could
be
be.
great if we could do it that quickly. I
Okay.
mean, I don't think it's going to be that difficult.
Have you dealt, I mean, I'm unaware, does the city have to permit this, or does it have to go through a permitting process?
Probably. We went through a process before. Like I said, we went through the directors, we went through the
In
Parks and Recreation.
2001?
Yes,
16
went through the
years
Parks and
ago.
Recreation Advisory
Okay.
Committee because the sign had to meet the city's specifications.
Okay.
And I'm very familiar with what the sign code is, being a planner. I don't think that's going to be a big issue, and I don't
Okay.
see us having a problem getting it approved.
Okay. Okay.
The McLaughlin Conservation District has design guidelines for signage. Again, I know those quite well, and I don't see us having any problem in meeting those.
Any other questions? I thought we'd do questions or clarification and then come back to the, if anybody's
Well,
interested.
I have one. Do we have to make a decision tonight on participation, or may we check our calendars and see what's
We're
coming
not
up?
setting any date, we just want a name, and then we'll get back to that. We'll get to that, back to that person and the person from CIC and figure out when we're
I
going
know,
to
I know,
meet.
I know
Yes.
your methods, Denise.
Yes, yes, sir. Well, I know you too, so, yes, we'd like somebody to volunteer, because we'd like to get started now.
So this is just on the design, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'll put my name forward.
Well, you would be a delightful addition.
All right.
We'd love to have you.
I'll
Thank you.
second Don's nomination.
Yeah,
Thank you, DA. That was very good of you. Your check will be in the mail later.
Why do we need more signage?
We don't need more. We're going to be replacing it.
Well, of all the people that are surprised about it, I'm surprised that we have a sign out there. Why do we need one?
Why do we need a sign out
Why do we
there?
need a sign that
Yes.
identifies the fact that we have a library there?
Yes.
I can answer that.
All right.
And you know what? When we get further into those standards that we're reviewing,
Oh,
you'll see
yeah.
that too.
Hmm.
Libraries are highly encouraged to have signs, like letting the public know exactly what is going on in the building.
Well, I know it's the American way to have
It is.
lots
If
of
you don't mind, I'm going to
signage, but-
excuse myself. I have a class that starts across the street in 5 minutes, so thank you, Don.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I'll support Don in going ahead
All
with
right.
it, but I'm concerned that we have too much signage as it is, so. And I think we have good signage on the building, so.
You do have good
But I'm on the
signage
record
building.
as wishing we had no signs.
right.
We'll take really good care of Dawn.
Okay.
Do you think that's a sign of something?
Gee.
Can you stay a moment? We'll finish up.
Yeah.
Thank you. I just want to wrap up. I mean, so we've had Don volunteer.
Yay.
I think we can unanimously, by accolade, agree that Don will be our representative. But I just want to see if anybody else had any other questions or input.
I do
for Don,
have
who's
another question.
representing us.
Phil, when you did your fundraising back in the 2000s, early 2000s, for the sign that was mysteriously disappeared, how much did you collect? Do you remember? How much did that cost then?
We collected about half of the cost for the sign,
Which was?
close to $1,500.
Okay.
The sign was 1,500, or what you collected was 1,500?
Say that again.
The sign was 1,500, or what you collected
The
was
sign was
1,500?
closer to 3,200, I believe.
Around 3,000.
That's one of our faults, is we never took a picture of that or kept information on that. And I was going to do something else that was mentioned to me, and I think I mentioned it to Maureen also, but it was suggested by Martin Montalvo over in Public Works Operations Manager, where the city that he had come from in Florida, barcoded the signages in the city, whether signs or benches, donations, in other words, memorials. Then the city had a list of who, when, and any other pertinent information, so that if a sign or a bench was being removed for whatever reason, they had a source to go back to. They know that, and I think in this case, a lot of the staff or people on the board were not aware that these were donated items, not just put there by the city. And so that's something we're also going to hope to start with, certainly with these signs.
Interesting idea.
We did have a lot of serious concerns during the construction project of benches and other specific items. I think it was a fountain and a number of things that were dedicated.
Well, there are definitely a couple of
We were
benches that we set
concerned
aside and
about
then
that,
have reinstalled.
Yeah.
But we just had a little sidebar that, there's a lot of donations specific to the library that we haven't tracked very well, but we definitely have the means to at least barcode and track library donations. So we could do that in the future, like those benches. That's a great idea, Bill, I think. So, because it does come up, 20 years later, when it's completely different organization, different people, it's so hard to track that if you don't have the documentation. So, yeah, it's a good tip.
Excuse me, what kind of material would the barcode be put onto? Would it be a
Well,
metal?
it might not even be put directly onto the barcode. It might be saved in a notebook or something, and with information about it separately, or in a file. But you could actually, we have the database that we could add it to our library database. It wouldn't be a circulating thing. The public would never see it, but that's all that is a database,
But somebody'd have to look for it.
We make it searchable.
Well, it was harder
Make it
for
searchable
us.
to the staff.
It was harder for us to know what was previously dedicated unless there was some kind of a plate or
Yeah.
plaque on the
Exactly.
And,
A plaque with a date, and let's say McLaughlin Group, identification would be nothing wrong with that, I would think.
Well, I think that's pretty
there is
clearly
a
what
cost to
happened.
It might have
so-
prevented what happened in this
Yeah.
case,
Yeah.
where the signs were just
That's right.
removed by a contractor, and whatever happened to them, whether it was salvage or whatever, but we would have gotten those back, or perhaps even before they'd been removed, we would have been notified that, hey, we'd like to have some input on this before you make your new signage
Might have
up.
given us the clues we needed. Yeah. So those are good points. Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Don.
you,
And
Don.
thank you,
Don.
Bill. Thank you for coming.
All
And
right.
thank you,
Thank
Don,
you.
for volunteering. And
All right.
we'll
Thanks,
get
Bill.
reports from him.
Maybe.
See you later.
Okay, next item then would be the director's report.
Yep. So, let's see. So May was another busy month. As far as the building goes, the curved stack in Teens, it got the top shelf it needs in order for the letters TEEN to be installed, which that has not happened, but we're getting there. The key cards are now working on the Carnegie side doors, which is great because then staff can enter that way. And as of just yesterday, this is the June report, but as of just yesterday, we're finally using our alarm system to its capacity. We're setting the alarm every night now. Just started this week. So now that's kind of double protection, because obviously we're locked down, but now we've got that going too. So slowly but surely, we're kind of plugging away at all the little things. I was looking at the status report of all the kind of leftover items between Will, the contractor, and Dan Naughton, the project manager, and I. And we're really getting down to just like hardly anything at all. Like the park benches, those need to be replaced, but they haven't shipped the new ones yet, that kind of thing. So, and in the meantime, the architects, not Haley, the other one, Joan, Jasper came out, and it was perfect because I really wanted to talk to her about the glare that we get from the skylight and then from the other windows on the west side of the building. And when she came in, it was just like a beacon of light from God was coming down onto the hello desk because it's white and it just bounces right back in everybody's eyes. Maybe you guys have experienced it before on one of your trips, but it just mostly at different times of the year, so like right now we're getting where the sun is at its apex and it just comes straight down onto that. And so she's been sent away to talk to an audio engineer for some baffling for the noise, and talk to our screen person who did our other screens and see if what they can rig up for the skylight just to cut that intense glare. And then we may have to install automated shades across the west side too. So she's off doing that, and then she also looked at a little bit better separation of space between the children's desk and the hello desk. And that little green screen is acting like it does what we need it to do. It just doesn't, like, the color's great. It just doesn't look like we just want something a little more permanent. And so she's designing something that probably will fit with the hello desk kind of look for there, and something we could like put children's pictures on and stuff so that we could still see around it and enough, but it separates those spaces. So
Can I ask, is the noise just the overall, or is it in certain areas that are?
it just floats up and down from the foyer area, so it's kind of overall. Like when I sit in my office, I can hear the conversations practically of people who are sitting over on the west side, right by the trees, if you go just straight. And it sounds kind of noisy, and it's like you go out there and then it's not really noisy. So it's just the way it travels in there. So that's why we need an audio engineer to come in and really think about, like, if we put in baffles, where would they be? And then, of course, we'd want them to look as good as possible and kind of blend into the background as much as possible and not detract from anything. So I think it can be done pretty easily and pretty well, but we'll see what she has to say about it. So, other than that, the library, the design and everything, I'm very, very pleased with the functionality of the design. And from all my talking about, I was really worried about the layout and how things would flow, but I think it's working out really well. And then our RFID tagging project is just going great due to this person right here. It is all her all the time.
She's a good trainer.
She's awesome, isn't she? So Denise attended with a whole bunch of other people from around the county meetings for like over a year. Well over a year to organize the whole RFID rollout. And we're through the process of tagging our main collection, and now we're tagging the stuff that comes back in that's been checked out. And so that's going very smoothly. Yep. We have to wait until all the libraries are mostly tagged before we can start using the self-checks, the new self-checks, which, have they arrived?
I haven't heard so.
I'm not sure if they've arrived at Network, but they'll be installed probably early August. And then our automated materials handler will be installed mid-August. And then it'll take a while to get the whole kind of thing up and running the way it's supposed to, which, as you might recall, in the future, our future, which always looks so bright, we will have basically sorting. It will be like our stuff and their stuff, and we won't have to break it down by library, which is what we do now. So we have like 11 other, sorting things that we have to do, and it will just be, that will all be done up at Network, up the hill. So, which we are benefiting, by the way, from where they're located, because they used to be out in Oak Lodge, and now they're like right there, which is
Where are they?
awesome. Yeah, it's really great.
Maureen, where are they located?
They're located in, the street where Benchmade is?
Yes.
Mhm.
They're in the same building that the
Elections?
Passport.
Passport.
Passport elections.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they're in there. And they've got a really nice big space with a huge, huge area for like a 31 bin automated materials handler, which like we're all gonna have to go tour. Like, that would be a really fun tour for us to do. Yeah, it would be a blast. We could turn one of our meetings into a tour up there and see it. I think you'd enjoy that. And they'd love to show it off. And so, we're hoping that like by the end of September, all the little, tweaks will be made, and everything that's not ours will just go up to there, and we won't have to think about it. It will simplify things a lot. And then we won't have just holes in the wall. I can't wait until we just don't have holes in the wall. Yeah. As far as business, our door count, again, was over 32,000. So I think that's just becoming the norm. Now, we did have May the 4th Be With You was our big event for May. And we had about probably around 600 people there. It never seemed like that many, but our numbers were, like from the door count, were just off the chart. So we were thinking that a bunch of people ran in and out, a bunch of short people ran in and out a whole lot. But, because it was that kind of an evening, we were fortunate. It was really a beautiful night. And so they made their little pool noodle swords, and then we turned the bubble machine on outside, and they ran outside and they whacked their swords around hitting bubbles, which was the way we direct that kind of energy at the library. Yes, it was genius.
They're great, because I try to figure out where you would put 600 people.
Yeah, no, they don't all, so it was over the course of like, what, 3-4 hours?
Hours.
Yeah.
3 hours.
And so people just came and went, and it was busy at some times and then not so much at others. And right at the opening is probably the biggest. But it was so nice to be able to have different areas for different events, and it was great. We had some great cosplayers come. I mean, the people who do that, you kind of go, gosh, who would want to dress up like that and go to events for just like, why would you do that? And they are inevitably the nicest people. They're like so nice with the little kids about getting their pictures taken. They are so good. Even the people who are supposed to be the evil characters are so nice. They are. It's just great. It's like, you're Darth Vader. You're supposed to be way meaner than that, So it's really cute. That was a great event. And we've just had any number of programs, and, we're still experimenting on what is popular and what's not. But, we have the space, we use it well, and I'm just very, very pleased at how it's going. Now, this month we've kicked off summer reading, and let's see, I wonder if I could show it. I could probably bring up our summer reading. Video. Because it's really, really cute. Know how to work this thing. Let's see here.
Well, it does seem, just while you're working on that, as I look at the numbers, I mean, the programs for the kids just kind of keep.
I know, it's mind-boggling, isn't it? This page can't be displayed. What the heck?
Oh, no.
Not on the connection. This is not the internet. What's going on? I'm telling you, this is crazy. Well, maybe I won't show you. I don't want to take forever to figure this out, but oh, there we go. That's weird. It's having problems. So I'll try to remember to send you the link, or you can go on our website and find it. So Willamette Falls Media Center helped us make a little promo for summer reading. It's so dang cute. It's all over Facebook as well. You've seen it, right, Don? You're on Facebook all the time. I can't. No.
I don't remember seeing it.
It's really cute. And so the theme is Build a Better World. And so I gave Barrett the idea that maybe we could somehow use the rivalry, the friendly rivalry between the police and the fire department. And so they're helping us. And this has been kind of a long, drawn-out process. It's really well explained in the little promo. We got ideas from the kids as to like how you could make Oregon City a better place. And so that happened way back in December, and they gave us ideas like, give away free puppies and, build the world out of pillows and, really, really cute things like that. But they also, a lot of them said things like plant more trees and blah, blah, blah. So Barrett came up with the idea of installing a butterfly garden in the planter that's closest to the 6th Street side. And then hopefully in the future we'll have like a teen advisory board to maintain it for us. And the police and the fire agreed to donate $250 each towards it. But the kids have to earn that money by reading. And so then they get these little quarter stickers for certain things along the way, certain markers, and then we have full-size cutouts of Jim
I did see
Band
that. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
and Fred Charlton at the library. And you can go in the children's area and see them. And so then the kids get to decide who they're going to put it on. And then those things are tracked. And, they just win bragging rights. That's all. But there really is this competition between them. So they're pretty funny about it. And then next Monday is kind of our kickoff event for summer reading programs, and it's called Touch a Truck. And so Public Works, the fire department, and the police are all going to bring really fun vehicles and park them between the Ermitinger and the fire station, and we'll close down the block in front of on John Adams. And so from 10 to 12 that day, the people who work in those departments will be there with those vehicles to let the kids come and see them and ask questions about them and all that stuff. And then Jim and Fred will be able to be there and promote their vote for me thing.
Put your stickers on.
Yeah, put your sticker on me. So it's just really, really cute, and it's going great. And I don't know how many people we have signed up yet, but I mean, we have a lot. So it's going very, and there's an adult summer reading program too. So that's June, but that's current. So yeah, the library is doing very well. I'll be on vacation until the 26th. Denise is in charge until then. Huh?
Send all my complaints.
Send all your complaints to her. Yeah, exactly. You've never had any, so if you want to start, send them to her. Yeah.
Or any
Exactly.
changes you want to have.
Yeah, exactly.
I won't change too much while you're gone.
No, thanks.
Any questions anybody has? It's just amazing how it just kind of keeps going up and up. So
Yeah, it is amazing to us. Yeah.
I did have one question. On the self-checks,
Yep.
I noticed they're way up from 6,000 to 12,000, like double. That's because of our new machines, which are much more efficient right now.
The new machines aren't even there yet. It's because we have more machines in the new place than we had in the old place. So upstairs, near Reference, there's a self-check up there. And so people get their books, and if they're up there, they don't even have to go downstairs and check them out.
Well,
It's kind of hidden, but
I was congratulating myself because I could get the self-check to work. On the old Carnegie, I could never get it to work.
I don't. Maybe our technology's just working better. Maybe we have better
I'd
wiring
be
now.
putting my card under there forever.
That's so frustrating.
Yes.
Yeah, in the future, it's going to be even easier when we get the RFID ones, because you basically have this little tiny pad that sits on the counter, and you just put your books on them. And it's going to be interesting to see how many. What do
4
they
to
think?
6.
4 to 6 at a time.
I know when we were
And it'll just
stamping
go
them, we had
bing.
to alternate them because they can't read straight up and down, but they
Right.
can read sideways.
Yep.
Yeah. If you understand that.
Yeah, as far as where they located the tags on the back, they're staggered so that they're not always lining up perfectly in the same location. They're easier to read that way. So, yeah, I think it will really, hopefully in the future, the Hello Desk will be more about money transactions, library cards, that kind of thing, and not a lot of checking out. But we're probably going to have to be pretty assertive about directing people and helping people with it when we first get started. But, I mean, Don, like you said, statistics have already gone up.
Yeah.
And people are very willing to use those machines, so it's a good sign. I think it's a very good sign. And by the way, when Denise was working with the RFID committee, they retained the Coraggio group out of Portland to help them kind of just think through all the change things. And we did put out, some surveys to see how people would approach change or felt about change. And Oregon City was like, they were one
Very
of the
ready for
most
change,
ready for change and feeling good about it. Yeah. So maybe it's
We've lived in the dark so long.
just ready. I know. So we feel really good about that.
But I assume there will be some sort of information or process for teach people what to do.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll probably staff the foyer like pretty heavily those first couple of weeks with extra people to help them. Yeah. And it's going to be kind of a
It's going to be a
staged
rollout week.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that not every library is going live at the same time.
Makes sense in case there's a glitch somewhere.
Exactly.
Exactly.
The whole thing doesn't.
Yeah.
Can.
I think that because you're attracting more people, and they suddenly, people who've gone to other libraries who don't have the self-checkout are finally saying, oh, what's this all about? And I think that's probably why you're seeing such a high amount of people using it. It's just people getting used to the system. Because I didn't know how to use the system,
Yeah.
but I did. The lady helped me very well.
Nice. That's great. That's great. Well, it's just kind of like being at the grocery store. At first you're like, what's that thing over there? And then once you learn how to do it, it's kind of like, oh, I'll just do this myself, And it depends also, like, if you see somebody in line, if you see there's a line at the Hello Desk, then you're probably more likely to use the self-check if you don't need, to talk to somebody specifically. But in the future, it would be great if just most of our checkouts were done with the self-checks, Not that we're trying to avoid conversation, just that, those should go really smoothly and be really easy, and so why not? Bye, Jan. Bye. So we'll see how it goes. So here's my question. Sorry, I'm butting
go ahead.
in. Since we had our conversation about the sign, do you guys want to stay and look at standards tonight, or do you just want to bump it to the next meeting?
It was going to be my same question, given the time, and my guess is probably bump it to the next
'cause
meeting.
there's
but
no rush.
there's no rush. And
Right.
the only thing I was going to say is kind of reiterating, I think, when your comments, I mean, as I look at doing the standards, so it's just to tickle your brains for next time, it's sort of three-pronged. It's kind of learning what librarians think is important. So I think it's a learning for us. I think it's helping us understand how you assess where this library is at, and then I think build some framework or some underpinning as we look towards the future strategic planning. So,
Yes.
I think it's critical, even though it seems like it's slogging through a little bit of. But for me, it's just learning how to think about the library and where we want to go next, and sort of some framework.
Yeah. I
But it
think
could be we
reveal-
may want to wait till the next
Yeah,
month.
that's fine.
If
I
that's
think it reveals a lot of like stuff that you guys probably don't, think about as going on over there. Yeah.
Some philosophical underpinnings of good service. Yeah, it's the framework that we use.
And then I find it interesting how you assess that, which is sort of invisible to me. So
Well, and some of the, we're moving to more outcomes based. So instead of just using statistics and saying, oh, well, we've got this much of this and this much that, more like, well, we want to be this kind of library. How do we know when we've achieved that? What tells us that? So we're looking at that kind of, there's a big push and a big kind of project called what's that called? Outcome something that the Public Library Association, the national group, has available to all of us too. So that can play into our strategic planning as well.
So let me just check. I mean, I made the assumption that people were okay with waiting till next month, but is that?
I'm all for it.
Yeah, okay. It has nothing to do with signs, but.
Not yet.
Yeah.
I have a question about signs. Is there a photograph available of that sign that disappeared?
Oh, yeah, there's gotta be, because that view of the library was in multiple photographs and like documented. I can get you one. I've got one on my computer. I know. I can send you one.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
I seem to recall that the original architect's drawing that just drew us all into it and said, "Oh, let's do this," had a very nice sign on it, but not that one. And so I'm wondering what happened to that idea, you know? So I'd like to revisit that somehow. I don't know if I have that image anymore. Yeah. It was the architect's drawing from right there.
Well, we've got all those drawings.
There someplace, yeah, I'm sure.
So it sounds
That's
like
in the
we'll get the
library.
past sign, the
Yeah.
drawings,
All
and
this stuff will
then
be in
knowing
the
what
library.
the,
Look it up.
Yeah.
sounds like there's some guidelines
the
for
sign.
signage in this neighborhood association.
Yeah, and I'm not sure, like, the existing sign probably meets those.
Okay.
It's just, you know.
Is there more of a historical context? That's what I picked up. Is there a sense of, okay. So we will continue the review of the Library Association Public Library Standards until next month, July. Then the next communication is a agenda item, but I don't see anybody out there. So
Well, I
think
can
we-
speak for the
Oh,
foundation.
That'd be great.
Thank you.
Yeah, and just briefly, the major thing that happened with the foundation in the last month was approving a $50,000 donation to the library to fund, or help fund, the, what we would call the opening day collection. But that was approved for immediate funding, and I don't know if you've got the money yet, but
we
you're
said
certainly
it-
on your way, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, we said it so that when I ever did it, then we would kind of get an invoice or something back to the foundation.
And are you going to assign somebody to get started with that, or is it a bit early yet?
Well, so no, that's been in process for a while. We're working with Ingram, which is a vendor that sells library materials and provides all kinds of different services. So what we're trying to do is, for this purchase and for our future purchases, get pre-processing in place. And what that means is that they would put on an RFID tag, put on a barcode, cover the book, and label the book, right? So that when it comes to us, it's practically shelf ready. And that means that our technical services department, which consists of one person, would be able to get things out really, really fast. So we wanted to get that piece done before we ordered like a gazillion books, because then those would come in with all that pre-processing done. The way it's turning out is probably for the adult books, labeling is very straightforward and they can provide it. But children's books is it's very complicated. We have about 101 different children's collections with different everything. So we can get a bunch of processing done without the labels done, though. You see what I'm saying? It's like when they come in, we can just apply the labels ourselves. It still goes a long ways towards getting things on the shelf faster. So that's what we're kind of negotiating all out right now. And once that's all cleared up, then they have people at Ingram, and we can give them parameters, and we can say, you know, come up with a list of like this many books in these areas and send them to us, and we have, you know, the right of approval or disapproval or whatever, and then we say purchase, and it's like magic. Then it gets done. It just takes a lot of work for the magic to happen, but we're on our way.
So this is
Right.
an additional 50,000,
Yes.
a new 50,000.
Yes.
Was that left from
The
fundraising?
overall fundraising, yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
very exciting.
Yeah.
That's a
Well,
lot.
and in
that's
addition,
a
they
lot of new
approved
material.
about another 20,000 for technology stuff. Wasn't it about that?
That's correct.
Yep.
I'm sorry, I didn't bring my list.
Well, I have it pretty, I've got it right here. I'm sorry.
I bet you do.
I don't have the amounts, but they approved money for a laptop charging cart with laptops, a 3D printer with advanced software, and one other thing. Oh, and then those little robot things. That was kind of a pass-through for the money. We got these cute little robot things that help kids learn how to code. Yeah. And it was pretty much a donation of $2,000 towards these things specifically.
Are they the ones that move along if you do the drawing patterns, or are they the make you make?
Yeah, I don't really know.
I don't know.
I don't really get it myself. But I haven't looked at them that closely. Aaron and Barrett have been the people that got them all set up. So they're all set up and ready to go, but I'm not quite sure how Barrett plans on using them in, you know, in programs and such. Yeah. So, you know, but somebody says, do you want $2,000 for these things? You're kind of like, yeah, we'll figure out a way. Yeah. So yeah, that was another really big, huge
That's right.
chunk of money.
Now, dear to my heart was that, in addition, the foundation set aside $150,000 to essentially create not a permanent fund, but and not really an endowment, but at least a fund that will address future needs. And there's going to be some efforts to add to that fund in the future. So it's the idea that we didn't want to spend every dime we took in immediately because we think down the road there are going to be some pretty important things that will come up. And we still aren't sure what all the RFID costs are going to be, so there could even be things that we run into there that we might fund. So we're feeling pretty fortunate the way the contributions came in.
Extremely fortunate.
I mean, I think it sounds amazing. Fortunate to have. I mean, to be able to purchase that much and still have 150 to hold aside for future needs.
That's right.
Unanticipated.
Huge.
Yeah.
Because, you know, at some point they'll, you know, this stuff will start wearing out. You know how it goes.
Yeah, there'll
It's
be
getting a
new-
lot of use, and therefore
New
it will
technology
wear
will
out.
come along.
Yeah, new
and,
technologies too.
Exactly.
The little kids are the ones who are going to want it first.
Yep.
Early
That's right.
adopters.
That's right.
Yes. Okay, so that's
Thank
my
you.
report.
Thank you, DA. And anything on the other group that you represent us on, Don? The Clackamas
I haven't
Library?
met for a while.
The Library District Advisory
District
Committee,
Advisory. We have a-
they will meet on Monday, the 26th.
Right,
Okay.
and they going to elect a new chairperson. I'm going to say no, so
Yeah, that's good, because there's somebody in mind.
good.
Yeah. It's a rough job.
Yeah, it's.
Yeah.
I've never belonged to a group where so much effort is done for getting nothing done. It's just
Yeah. Well, it's really one of these very difficult arrangements in that there has to be an advisory committee for a district, but they really aren't empowered to do much.
yeah.
You know, so they need to be sure that the money that is collected for the district goes towards libraries. And there's not a lot they can do if they don't feel like it is though, except if they can only report up to the Board of County Commissioners and say something smells here. But they can't really tell city managers what to do. You know, it's like their hands are really kind of tied. And so it's a frustrating committee.
So
Thank you.
I occupy the chair and do my duty.
We'll go put in our time for everybody else, right, Don?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
That's right, thank you.
So the three groups that we are represented on is Foundation by DA, this Library District Advisory Board by Don, and now the McLaughlin Neighborhood Sign Planning
Yes.
something by
Right.
Don. Thank
Which
you.
is just an
Anybody
ad
else?
hoc thing, though.
Yeah.
That should have a
Taking
finite
over.
period of
Yeah.
time, right?
How about replacing the foundation?
Okay. Anything else under communications? Future agenda items. So for July, we will put on the standards review.
Yeah.
Anything other agenda items?
There have been times when we've taken a month off in the summer. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Love that
What
idea.
is the next meeting? July what? 12th.
12th, is that it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So sometimes you're taking July or sometimes August, is that?
Yeah.
I will not be here in August, just FYI. It does not mean to make a decision.
Might help us though.
August is August 9th,
August is a wonderful
right?
time to take off.
Yeah, I'm not.
It's
going to
early
be
in
here.
August.
I will be in Germany. I will drink a
Germany?
beer for
So-
all of you.
Awesome.
So July 12th and
That's
then
just
August
That's
9th.
the day.
Are there others?
I have a story on that. I'll tell you later.
Well, we have one person that knows they can't make the August meeting, so we could consider that our summer break month.
French take all of August off, so maybe it's a good choice.
There you go.
So Scott wants to take all of August off.
Yeah, because we're not required by our bylaws to meet every
Ah.
single month.
Yeah.
Yeah, at all.
Okay,
August.
August. So we'll plan on July for standards and then plan on taking August off.
Right.
Right. Okay, that
And then
sounds
by
really good.
September, that sign committee will have met multiple
Well,
times, I'm
Dialed it
sure.
all in.
Well, knowing who I'm working with, probably so, yes.
And then you can report on that. And,
Probably.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay. Meeting is adjourned at 6:02.
Thank you.
Thank you. Not sure it's a good time.